Another day in the prison reality. I don't really know what to think of this world anymore. I mean, you humans will pay for it anyway, so it really doesn't matter. But I just try to keep myself thinking about shit I enjoy thinking about. And I've been on a real nostalgia trip with various games, you know, pretty much starting with, Half-Life or Half-Life 2 or whatever. Now I've played Doom 3. Now I'm to the point of I'm not even playing Fear. Like I actually already played it. And this goes into what I've mentioned numerous times now about difficulty in video games, and how I mentioned that, at least from me playing the game, the only difference I really see extreme difficulty makes is, with Fear, kind of like a lot of games have, is just like how quickly you get fucked up, like, how quickly you die from fucking up, right? The cock up cascade, as it were. But like, I kind of shocked myself how quickly I got through the game because I already finished it, and it felt like it took half as long as it did with Doom 3. I mean, maybe Doom 3 is just a longer game. Maybe part of that is you move slower or something, or I don't know. But just like with Doom 3, like I kept having to check the game options and be like, I'm on extreme, right? Because I was just kind of running through everything for the most part. There's a few parts in the game that are like choke points or whatever that just seems to be where most of your quick loading is going to happen. But it felt like, even the last time I played it, which I checked my save files, I almost always back up my save files, and the last ones were from it was like a year and a half ago, I guess, technically, or well, yeah, something like that. I don't know. It was December 2024. So it's been a while, but I mean, I've played the game over and over again for over 20 years, and not even that most recent playthrough felt as easy as it did this time. So I'm kind of wondering what's happening. Like, I used to be, like, actually pretty bad at video games, but something changed at a point to where it's like, now all of a sudden I can do a lot of, I'm not good enough to be a speed runner, but there's a lot of stuff I can do in a game that most can't, or, you know, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know exactly what caused that kind of change, but I think part of it just might be the fact that I've been replaying it for so long. Most of the stuff in the game, I like will remember where it is, or there's some sort of intuition about where it's at. The only thing that got me this time was this sort of free form version I've been doing. I was picking up health boosters. I didn't use the reflexes a whole lot, but I would pick those up when I see them. I did use it some. The part I used it almost exclusively was the part with those fucking flying robot things. I fucking hated those. It's the worst level in the fucking game. They kill you so fucking fast. And of course, it has to be in one of these office spaces kind of places where you really don't have much room to maneuver in. And they really don't take much explosive damage either, it seems, because if I set like mines and stuff, it just doesn't seem to affect them much. Maybe it's like the Shambler. I meant to mention this a couple times now. Like I seen one of the uploads of John Romero's stream of him playing Quake on the 30th anniversary, recently. And it was almost embarrassing how fucking bad he was doing at it. And one of the things he kept doing was using the grenade launcher on the Shambler, and I'm like, he knows that Shamblers, have reduced explosion damage, right? Like, I mean, he made the game, right? And he had a large part in it, right? I mean, you think he would have been aware? Was he ever aware of that, dude? Sometimes I don't know, but um, maybe it's one of those things where they take reduced damage. Like, for an example, I know the heavies in Fear, you can't slide kick them or any of that bullshit, which is stupid because they all do the like roundhouse kick, the bicycle kick, and the slide kick, they all do 1,000 damage, which is like, what the heavy's health is. And it's like, in my opinion, if you can get close enough to the heavy to fucking slide kick them, shouldn't you get rewarded for that? As usual, you know, you'll hear this bullshit saying that, players optimize the fun out of a game, and all developers do. Like, you literally just stop me from doing something cool for no reason. There's a lot of like handrails and stuff that I'm not a speed runner, but I'll try to get out of bounds and shit like that. And it's like they thought of that, so almost every one of them, the little pieces you might be able to jump on, they're either clipped off or set to not solid and this and that. But those damn flying robot things, I don't know why every game has to have an enemy like that. But yeah, that was like most of the slow-mo I used on this run. But I think it also sort of proves my point, as I was saying with the self-imposed challenges thing. I think it was part of that. I'm just so used to the routine of the game or whatever. But also, I think a big part of it is that, like, I can't remember the last time I used slow-mo. And then also I was, using the health boosters and, of course, health kits and the armor. Now, one thing I will say is, even if I use health kits and armor, that's my default. But if I do that, I'll usually avoid the health boosters. But, with like, the increased health and the slow-mo, it's just way too easy, in my opinion. It's like you use the slow-mo because it looks cool. Not because it's like really that difficult, at least in my opinion. But then it made me think, well, maybe that's why I got through so quick. Because there were several parts where, I would get knocked to like 148 health or something, and just have to remember, it's like, well, at this point, how I normally play, I'd be half dead, right? And I mean, if you use the health boosters, that's sort of equivalent to have double the health kits, right? It's like, imagine if you carry twice as many health kits. It almost works out like that. And so that's also probably a big factor why. But I really didn't use the slow-mo that much. But it kind of helped prove how significant your strategy will be whenever you're playing within certain confines of the game. Now, one thing is, I did use the ammo pickup glitch. I use that most of the time. And in my opinion, they should have balanced the game so where you could have used those more. Some of them, like the repeating cannon, you get so little from a normal pickup that you might use it once or twice. But otherwise, you might notice that anyone who's playing the game regular and they just walk over weapons to pick up ammo, they're probably going to be using like the submachine gun most of the game, and even using the ammo glitch. You'll probably, once enemies start carrying the G3A3 or whatever, you'll probably switch to that. But it's like they balance the game with the expectation that you would essentially be using whatever the enemies have. And I guess in a way it makes the ASP rifle and like this and that feel more, I don't know, like special or whatever. In practice, I feel like it just sort of arbitrarily limits your access to the fun guns. But I've been watching some speed runs of it too, and that was something else I just, not just, but, a few hours ago or whenever the fuck it was, finished the game. And something I did with Paxton Fettel that I don't know if a lot of people are aware of, but whenever you go into the final dream sequence battle with him, it strips all your weapons, and then when you come back, you just have the pistol, or do you even have anything? Whatever it is, they're expecting you to take the repeating cannon from the disabled replicas ahead of you. But if you throw down all your weapons and then any mines and sticky bombs you have, just throw them at the wall to stick it to there, or the floor or whatever. Like, just throw them like you normally would just to set them. When you go through the sequence and you come back, all the guns you dropped will still be there. And then because the mines are like on the wall and the floor, you can just pick them back up like you normally would if you wanted to replace them. So the only thing you really sort of have to lose is the regular grenades. But, I carry all that shit to the end of the game. And I mean, you kind of don't need it, but it's also kind of fun to, fuck with like the landmines uh, and different shit when you normally wouldn't be able to, although it really doesn't change much. And sort of like I mentioned with Doom 3, a lot of times I feel like people kind of aren't aware of it. Maybe it's like implicit. It's one of those things. It's like it's obvious, but is it really? Where they give you the repeating canon right after the dream sequence or whatever you want to call it, and then those stupid apparition things, which I fucking hate. Uh, the repeating canon is one of the most effective weapons on them, right? And it's effective because of the splash damage. But then you might also notice that you'll see a lot of submachine gun, submachine gun pickups, and it's effective because it shoots so fast, right? TTK is so high, and then they don't have much health anyway. I don't know. That was something I thought about, but I've been watching speed runs, and it made me think. I thought it was in the Grubo run, that original extreme difficulty run on SDA, where they did this trick, but actually it was on the next one that was on easy mode. But right at that bit before Wade, Harlan Wade releases Alma or whatever, he actually uses the rocket launcher to bring a physics object over to him, and then he boosts across to the other side, and so he basically skips the dream sequence fight thing, whatever, with Paxton Fettel. So sometimes I wonder that, because in the later games, canonically Paxton is still alive, and so then I wonder, it's like, okay, so does that mean speedrun strats are like canon or whatever? Sometimes I wonder how much they really put thought into stuff like that. Because when I design levels, if sometimes I'll do linear sequence of scare type of stuff like I've been working on. But most of the levels I make with the expectation of how I would want a level to play. And I have my own sort of like level design Bible, which I might talk about at some point. But, John Romero, one of the videos I was watching with him, he was talking about how, like, they were aware of rocket boosting with the Doom games, but with Quake, they didn't think about the vertical aspect of that. And what was kind of nuts to me is he said if they were aware of it before Quake shipped, they probably would have fixed it, so to speak. And I just think of how ridiculous that would have been. Could you imagine if they had just, deleted one of the most iconic aspects of the entire first-person shooter genre out of existence like that before it ever even happened? But like when I play games, like I like to try to find ways out of bounds, and I really hate it when shit arbitrarily walls me off. Like, even some of the goofy shit, right? Like Condemned Criminal Origins is a great example. Oh, I can't go up the staircase because there's like a couch there or something. Like you couldn't just walk around it, right? Um, but I'll at least accept that over just, oh, I can't go up the stairs because there's just an invisible wall there. I fucking hate shit like that. Doom 3 does a lot of shit like that as well. And in my opinion, you should reward player ingenuity. Sort of like with the slide kicking heavy saying, like, why just wall me off from that? I have a way that I want somebody to play a level that I make. But also, I don't want to just, like, punish them for trying, to have fun with the fucking level either, right? There's some parts in like Half-Life 2, like Ravenholm, there's actually a clip brush over this one fence right where Grigori's at. You could get over that, but there's a clip brush there that goes away after you've gone that way, the way they expect you to. They literally only put it there long enough to stop you from sequence breaking. Yeah, but of course then all the sequence breaks we know of now, right? It kind of makes it irrelevant, but still, it's like, why would you like just stop? Yeah, I shouldn't want to have fun in a video game, right? But I'll even put ways in my own levels of, intentionally. It's like if somebody manages to notice it, they're rewarded with, a way of getting out of bounds that I put there on purpose, right? I've just always loved shit like that in video games, and I wish more games would just let you play a game, right?